All right, man. Do you want to explain again what this recording is that you've done for us?
Yeah, basically I filtered some hands from February for calling three bets because it was something I was looking into my play. And I think I found some places where maybe I should be four betting and maybe I'm playing a bit too fit or fold. And I just thought it might help me to hear some opinions or some have some discussion about what I'm doing.
Yeah, right. All right. So we'll go through this recording today, and yeah, just have a look at the hands. So open queens on the hijack. I mean, this is the spot that you should be four betting. Um, yeah, you just four bet the queens. Hijack versus button. I mean, the get in range for the hijack is like queens plus ace king. The get in range for the low jack is like kings plus ace king suited. So you got to remember which position they're opening from and what the get in ranges for each of them are. So you're pretty happy to four bet queens and then get it in. Especially because you're deeper with the blinds, your your opening range is actually slightly wider. Anyway, yeah, this lot. Donking seems pretty good actually. It's not super necessary to barrel the turn, although barreling the turn isn't too bad either. But usually after you donk the flop, you're going to have a substantial checking range on the turn. So this hand might go for a check call on the turn instead. Otherwise, seems okay. Any questions about that? The main thing is the 4-bet pre-flop. You should be forwarding it pre-flop. Yeah, okay. Yeah, seems fine. I mean,
I think
after a very small 3-bet pre-flop, like you basically got your entire opening range. And so you've got your entire opening range here to defend with. You can select the third out to fold. I mean, this hand is probably a little bit tight. Got the backdoor second nut flush draw with two overcards to the middle pair, so and also backdoor straight draw with the ace. So probably would like to see you continue with either a call or a raise instead.
I think sometimes my apprehension of the four betting at the in the pool that I play is the facing a three bet. The three bets are so tight that usually they're three betting only the premiums. So sometimes I don't know where I stand with a hand like queens or jacks as far as four betting into what I think is our players that aren't three betting enough.
Yeah, I mean this is here's the hijack 4-bet range over. It's open 2.5 and you get potted by the button. Queens is a 4-bet. You win about a quarter of a big blind by four betting, which is not insignificant. In terms of the range which they do it with, if it's too tight, I don't think that's a good reason to not four bet for value. But maybe you could just prove back the bluffs a bit more in terms of like having fewer of the bluffs and fewer of the ace king. Anyway, yeah. We'll see the rest of the hand, but it's another spot where we can go for a four bet. He's got four bet half the time. If you open to 2x, and you get potted into your 4-betting half the time. So don't be afraid to make the 4 bets. Checks through, okay. Checks through again. I don't understand this at all. Like, can you explain why you folded the river?
No, I can't. I think that's probably a good opportunity for like a block bet on the river.
Yeah, I mean, it'll just check call. I mean, all the queens are the same, so maybe you can say something to do with calling with a club, but you don't really have too many queens with a club. Like, a lot of your queens are going to be suited. To be fair, like, you've got ace king, king queen suited, queen jack suited, queen 10 suited, a little bit ace queen off suited, but a lot of that 4 bets. So in terms of what other queen x you have, like, this is pretty much the top of your checking range. That isn't like a trap, right?
Right.
So, like, yeah, if you can bet like quarter pot or something like that, it's a lot better to understand the check fold. Alright, means very bad. I mean, ace queen probably just 4 bet there, I think. Do I have a sim that will? Probably not. Yeah, like, this is against the smallest 3 bet size, which is 1 pot. Ace queen always does it. It's really only against the really big ones that ace queen doesn't 4 bet. So against even smaller ones, like ace queen, I mean, even ace jack suited will probably be in the 4 bet range. So yeah, just flatting is not so good. Yeah, that's more of a reason to 4 bet. The DPI, the higher the EV of 4 betting is.
Okay.
Yeah, bet call. Check, bet call. Yeah, I don't hate it. Yeah, alright. I mean, checking back off flop there is probably okay too.
It's very usual for the min 3 bets in my pool to be very strong hands that want action.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, there's not a good reason to not 4 bet for value. Makes right. Yeah, seems okay. And the 4 bet size was kind of on the small side.
The river bet?
No, the 3 bet size from preflop was kind of small.
Oh, right.
Here,
yeah,
he can fold pre-flop. Ace jack off.
What was the size? It was 9. 2.5 to 9. Yeah, probably. I mean, you got here in the sim. This is 10.5. It's 8. So somewhere in between here and here. So I don't hate the call, but maybe if it's like a micro's rate, yeah, just fold. You can be folding a lot, right? Even though the 3 bet size is kind of small.
I fold a lot here. And they don't 3 bet enough.
Yeah, I agree. That's little loose. Could have been a mental game issue.
I mean, I think you should just bet the river. Like, what other hands are going to be blocking with? Yeah, maybe you can check back just because you block a lot of folds, but then again, like, a lot of your ace-x are going to be pairs. So what weak ace-x do you have?
If I had something like
Suited, ace-nine suited. Yeah, maybe if you had a spade.
if I had like pocket sixes or pocket fives, I think that would be a good bluff bet. No.
No, pocket
No,
sixes and
we
pocket
have
fives
showed
have
up
a lot of
value.
low shot of value. Here you're trying to get
Yeah.
a hand like ace-king to fold.
I thought I had showdown value.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think about what hands you beat.
You can check ace queen
It's a
and
bit of a
bluff
stretch,
this.
right? You're saying that you can beat king queen suited. That probably bets at some stage. Ace nine suited. That probably bets at some stage. So yeah, I mean the check makes a lot more sense if you got ace queen yourself, because at least then you trump with your opponent's ace queen. Yeah, I mean, well, once again, probably a 4-bet. Like, this is the hijack open, and this is the two sizes. He threw about a size in between these two. Maybe it was pot. Yeah, queen is always a 4-bet. Yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to 4-bet your queens. Especially because this guy's really short. I mean, probably could just rip it pre-flop, to be honest. Because he's only got 70 lines behind. Yeah, anyway. Check. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably size it down a little bit more, but seems okay, I think. Yeah, alright. Yeah, I mean, if the rake is pretty high, you can be folding the suited connectors against the 3-bets when you're in position. Yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say about that.
And his 3-bet is very big, so we can fold easy, no?
And the 3-bet's 9.
Pre-flop.
The size of the 3-bet is pretty okay, I think. Yeah, flush mine. So pretty good odds, pre. Yeah, straight and flush draw. I mean, you could probably consider raising the flop. It's pretty nice for you.
Here, can he overbet on this river?
Why?
Because you
Because
want to get a call from a jack.
It's a paired board though, right?
So
I mean, like, if you've got the 8, you should probably just represent. You should probably use that to do something to do with blocking straights and that kind of thing. So you should just basically bet a size that gets
bet the size which represent the straight, no?
yeah, and then if you get raised, it's kind of gross, but yeah. I mean, actually, if you get raised, they got to flush most of the time. Pretty difficult. I mean, no one ever has boats in Hold'em until they do.
Bad.
I mean, this is pretty bad.
He here should play all in or fold.
Yeah, I mean, puts a quarter of a stack in. The size is very big. I don't think there's any reason to not just play all in or fold. You have 2.25. Yeah, I mean, I'd just be playing jam or fold. Nines might make it in there sometimes. Otherwise, just folding the nines is okay as well. I mean, this is like against a pot size 3-bet. So you open min, this is against pot size 3-bet from the hijack. You open 2.5 against pot size 3-bet from the hijack. This is what you're looking at. 100 blinds deep. So 40 blinds deep, he puts a quarter of a stack in, which is more than a pot size raise. You can basically just play all in or fold, I think.
And considering that the implied odds are so cut, it's probably just a fold. That he doesn't. I mean, there's not a lot of reward there for even hitting my set. Is that a way to?
For set, definitely not.
Yeah.
So
that's probably a fold.
You want to call with aces? I don't know, but I don't know.
I'll probably just want to have calling range of pajama fold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably easy for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
so
I mean, like again,
on
like
previous
these enormous 3-bets, you just don't have to call them. This is a more than pot size 3-bet, and you're out of position. Like fives is here like the worst pair you've got. Compared to the other ones in terms of the density of the pocket pairs, just let go of pocket pairs.
Yeah, judging by the opening the fives there,
Yeah,
which is
this
a
is-
very
this is
low
probably-
frequency open.
Actually, no, I don't know. Did I put it at 100%? Pretty sure I put it at 100%.
Sixes are 100%. Fives are kind of lower frequency. I find, I think.
Are they? Pretty sure.
on low rake 5 have I open
Pretty sure
100%.
you gotta open fives all the time.
But for micro, you can open sixes plus
Yeah, you got
But-
fives all the time here.
for sims. Yeah.
Jesus, I've got to change this. This is a low definition image. Can make it nice and crisp like this one. Gotta edit that. Anyway. Yeah, just fold a pre-flop. I mean, consider donking the flop as well. Yeah, because they're donking the flop, check raising the flop.
I don't have donk range here. I should work on that.
Yeah, that's something you should work on if you don't have it. Especially because the difference between the pre-flop ranges and post-flop ranges often means a lot of flops you need a donk.
Yeah, but I don't have sims.
Well, I mean,
See, that was a
three at pot sims are pretty relatively easy to run. So
How many gigabytes of RAM should I need?
Yeah, well, I mean, you probably only need almost 32. Well, I mean, a bit nice to have more than 32, but if you got 32, you should be fine to run like really nice 3-bet pot sims with donks and everything, all the bells and whistles. I mean, Ace 5 is probably a high frequency 4-bet in the previous hand. So smallish 3-bet pre-flop, yeah, you got like queens and tens you can defend with instead of the eights. That seems fine.
Here with Ace King, we should 4-bet fold versus shove. Ace King off and call only kings plus Ace King suited.
No, I mean this is what we got here. I mean Ace King here is the difference between 4-betting and folding. But yeah, I mean I don't mind a 4-bet, and like if you 4-bet, you're not going to fold all the time, right? I mean you're indifferent there. Against the all-in range like kings plus an ace, and yeah, kings plus an ace.
They don't 3-bet enough, you know, and I lose a lot of money, I guess, especially on Zoom pool, because they don't 3-bet enough, and when I call with Ace King, they have aces and kings.
Oh, what do you
in
mean
this
against the 5-bet?
Yeah, versus the shove.
Yeah, I mean, against the shove, you can fold. I mean, you're indifferent here.
Okay, so I should fold more. Yeah.
But I don't think it's a good enough reason to, just because they only shove kings plus, that's not a good reason to not 4-bet ace king. In fact, that's a really good reason to 4-bet ace king.
Yeah, because we block. We block.
Well, yeah, I mean,
kings.
you block the
It's-
shoves and like
So we call with queens more.
you never
and
having
we can bluff
to
this.
worry about. No, you can 4-bet queens. Yeah, don't call. Give up. Yeah, I mean, seems fine. When you chopping. Okay, he checks like ace 3. Don't understand that at all. How do you give away 50 big blind pot with ace queen high, with ace 3 high? I don't understand this from the opponent here. Yeah, bet call, donk, call, check, and he checks back. Yeah, that's, I don't know. Yeah, so a good reason to be 4-betting ace king. I don't understand why you're not 4-betting ace king. I mean, the guys are 3-betting enough. Yes, they appear to be. Flopping the nuts is always nice. Yeah, I mean, there's enough stack depth to just see the turn.
Yeah, I prefer.
Probably prefer to shove with a different kind of hand than the nuts. There's just enough stack depth to see the turn, and like there's no possible card where you're being outdrawn. Well, there is, like there's two gut shots, but still it's not very likely. Yeah, you call the 4-bet. Checks from the turn. Yeah, stuff in the river. I mean, I don't hate the check back. But you know, it is your best queen in terms of it beats all the other queen X. All the other queen X is queen 9 king. So queen 9 ace can probably value that sometimes. 3-up pre, and then yeah, like if you're gonna do this cheeky bet small on the turn, check back the river. I mean, I do like that play, and it's a good play to have against opponents that don't check raise the turn enough. So yeah, I mean, it seems fine. It's just a very cheeky play from you.
Yes, I like that because they don't donk enough on the river when they hit.
Yeah, I mean, there should be plenty of donking. Yeah, here I guess you can call the 10s. I mean, it's not like ideal. What do you have in like 2.5? 2.5 fold call. Fold squeeze 150. 150 is probably a bit too big, isn't it? It's 14.5. Fold size squeeze. Yeah, fold size squeeze is a bit closer. So it looks like, yeah, calling the 10s. All the time, I think that was reasonable. I mean, against the bigger squeeze, you can start to fold it, but against this really small squeeze, I don't mind the call. As long as your calling range is fairly balanced, it's pretty nice. But like after you get in position call, you can play a lot closer to 3-bet or fold. Like look here, the calling percentage is only 8.5% versus the 4-bet percentage is close to 20% against that, right? So don't be afraid to play closer to 4-bet or fold against these squeeze spots. See what happens post flop. Yeah, seems reasonable. Seems reasonable. Yeah, I mean, in contrast to the other one where the first caller was in position, here the first caller was out of position, so you're gonna have a much more substantial calling range because you don't really expect the out of position to play to play a 3-bet pot 3 ways out of position. So like you don't expect him to have an overcalling range at all after you call. But obviously that's not necessarily the case. And then calling the 9 seems okay, I think.
He just likes to call. He's got a VP.
It's got a tiny stack. You should probably just get it on the flop. This hand does benefit from just folding out the other cards. And he comes up with Jack 7 suited. So yeah, plenty of fish at 16 now, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, you should probably seriously consider folding preflop. But yeah, okay. You know,
Just got lucky.
Pot size bet from the hijack is pretty big. Pot size raise preflop from the hijack. Yeah, just rip it. Like why would you just? I don't know. Like
he should shove.
You leave 10 big blinds behind. Yeah, just shove instead of.
You lose money, Apollo. Yeah.
Yeah, you end up losing a significant amount of EV by not shoving.
Yeah, I'm agree.
What happened here? You open. This is horrendous. Like you've got to be 4-betting jacks blind versus blind.
Yeah, you should fold back call versus folding.
Yeah, 4-bet, snap it off. Like he's only 80 big ones deep. You could probably raise the flop. You definitely want to be betting the river. Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to be betting the river yourself. I mean,
So
I don't know
that's
what he's doing with Ace King.
that should have been like
That should play his game very differently.
What size should he use on the river?
50%. Should I be using a 50% 4-bet on those with those jacks like Snowy would?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the range which I have up, the raise size is like a little over 50%. So he threw it to 8, so you just make it like 20. Between 16 and 20 seems okay.
Right.
And then when you get jammed down, you snap it off. Post flop, probably could check raise the flop. Probably could even donk the flop, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, and the river is probably the small bet trying to get called by like ace high or like a weaker pair. There's a lot of ways you could play it. You could have played that hand better. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's obviously this sample is biased towards calling. Like you only get to see the calls rather than the folds, but definitely do have some folds with 9s here.
So would you say so far it looks like I'm calling too many pocket pairs versus big 3-bets?
Well, I can't tell because I can't see the pocket pairs that you fold.
Oh, right. Okay.
And in high rake environment, you should fold more, no? Even if
yeah, I mean, in the higher rake environment, you should play closer to 4-bet or fold compared to a lower rake environment. Yeah. What, do you even have a spade? Yeah. Yeah, preflop seems fine. Flop seems okay. Yeah, I don't mind checking it back. There's going to be a lot of good runouts for you. Yeah. Well played, I think. Don't really understand the bet from him. It's a kind of a weird bet for a board that doesn't interact with the range very well. Yeah, okay. I mean, he played that quite poorly, I thought. Yeah, I think he let you get away with too much of your stack. To be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once again, you can consider full betting this pre. I mean, I don't mind the call, but yeah, you just want something that you can consider. It's definitely not as bad as like queens. I mean, like, I look at queens versus button. Like here, this is low jack versus button. You got both queens, jacks, and tens all being like 50% for the low jack, but high jack you always full bet queens. So you got to know like which pocket pair always full bets in which position. I mean, jacks is always going to full bet against the button. Hijack, you're always going to full bet. You're always going to be full betting queens, and then like, yeah, it's really on the low jack where you start to like call queens and ace king offsuit. In terms of how it's played on the flop, it seems okay. You can consider probably going for a raise, or even a donk on the flop. I mean, I actually don't mind a donk on the flop, just because it's a fairly good board for you compared to the opponent. Yeah, this is super dubious. Like here, let's queen 10 there. Yeah, I mean, the sim says that you lose a little bit, but imagine a high rec environment just calling this is just losing play outright. So, see what happens post flop. Like these queen X hands get easily dominated by ace queen, which is going to be a good chunk of the bluffing range against the low jack. So, yeah, that's going to happen a lot. And when a queen comes, you're not super happy. Yeah, I mean, this is once again, this is going to be another 4-bet. I mean, cutoff versus small blind. The raise is very small. A little more than pot, isn't it? I mean,
So what's the sizing for the 4-bet there?
I mean, here you got jacks half the time in this sim, but with like the low rake, you're playing closer to 4-bet fold. So yeah, he's making like 20.
Okay.
How much is that? We started like 95 blinds, so yeah, going to like 19 or 20 seems okay.
Okay.
It's pretty good board for your range. Yeah, I don't understand the turn check. This is definitely a turn where you want to be betting at a high frequency for a small bet size. High frequency, I mean like close to 50%. You still got to respect the 50% rule to some degree. So, and this is definitely in close to the top third of your range. So if you go like, you should be betting this, I think, especially because you kind of want to get a bit of value from an ace king, ace queen type hand, especially ace king, ace queen with a spade, which you don't block. So
right,
you can also get values from weaker pairs as well, which they can certainly have.
There's a lot of value actually to be had from a naked spade there, with like you said, ace king or ace queen with an ace of spade. He's going to call quite a good size bet on the turn.
Yeah, I mean on the turn you should just make it small. Like it's better to just bet small at a high frequency to try and get calls from like ace king and ace queen, right? Rather than big and polar with a lower frequency. So it's definitely a spot where you should go a little bit depolarized. And it's one of those awards where like there's a lot of rivers where if you check back, your check back range is going to improve to be able to defend the river. So like you don't have to have too many strong hands in your check back range. Overall, it's a really good board for the imposition player because a lot of rivers improve hands.
I think I called this one off just because it was so small.
Yeah, I mean the preflop is definitely okay. I mean the flop, you probably want to be calling the fours. Like, sure you can float like king queen, ace jack, suited kind of stuff. If you have the preflop, you probably don't have the preflop like king jack, ace queen suited, that kind of stuff can all float. But you want to be defending some pocket pairs. 15 big blinds. Like, how much was the bet before then? Yeah, it's half pot. I mean, you've got so many overcards that will fold instead, right? And the flop is fairly good for you compared to the opponent. So you want to be defending.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's a very big 3-bet. Yeah, it's a very big 3-bet. You should be folding these pocket pairs out of position at a high frequency. Yeah.
That's a red line killer, right? I mean, that kinda...
you can probably raise the flop, to be honest, just because like 9-10-5 is not super good for imposition. Raise a flop, not the flop, that kind of stuff. You just don't expect it to be very good for the imposition player. In terms of the interacting with the imposition player's range. It's probably one of those spots where you can consider 4-betting ace-10 suited. Just because it does well against ace-king. I mean, all the aces chop with ace-jack now. Okay.
Yeah, there's no excuse for not 4-betting this one.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no idea what we're doing.
Ouch.
It's hard not to call with the heart.
You have a heart? Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. You should call with a heart. You've got the nut flush draw. I mean, you've got a nut flush draw with showdown value.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah, well, it's a big mistake pre-flop. Big mistake on the turn.
Yeah.
Like,
and
you've got kings. You should usually almost always be getting kings in pre-flop.
So on the river, in
for
that
like
spot
100
with
blinds.
kings, he should donk on the shower when the flush came.
I mean,
With kings.
I guess you could sometimes, but you would expect that the person who, if he bets the turn, he's got he's going to have a fair amount of flush draws coming into the river as well. So it's not like you have to donk. The defender probably has a few more.
And if you
if you go through these, it's pretty rare to find a spot where you're going to be folding kings pre-flop. It's pretty rare you'll find a spot that you're not going to be 4-betting kings pre.
I agree.
Like with the exception of the low jack, basically kings always gets it in. And then, like in the low jack, there's basically always 4-bet. Right here against an open, you always 4-bet. Against the blinds, you can maybe call, but still, it's a high frequency 4-bet. Like you're gonna be 4-betting and then getting it in a lot. Right, quite happily. There's almost no excuse to not be 4-betting kings 100 big blinds deep in 6 max, especially cutoff versus low jack. Like we can see, I can estimate how much the EV difference is. Like calling you in 11 big blinds versus 4-betting you in 16 big blinds. That's a 500.
Big blinds.
It's a 500 big beat per 100 hand loss there.
500 more.
Yeah, 500 per 100. Okay, so he doesn't bluff 9-8. Alright, that's pretty good for him.
Going back to those kings, how when stack depth gets really deep, how does that affect the 4-betting?
Yes, I want to put this question.
When you're in position, you're just going to be. Yeah, it reduces the amount of kings that you 4-bet in position, but that really only applies for the first 2 positions in 6 max. Like for cutoff and button, you're always going to be 4-betting kings even when it gets like super deep. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be 6-betting all in, but you're still going to be 4-betting it.
Right.
So
and does our 4-bet size change?
Yeah, I mean the 4-bet size can increase as stack steps get deeper. The reason why the 4-bet size is min in these sims is because it makes it such that your opponent can't play 5-bet or fold too easily. You're 4-betting to a size that's a little less than the quarter of the stack, giving your opponent pretty good odds to continue. So out of position and in position, like in position, if they 3-bet to, so opens like 2.5, they 3-bet to 8, you 4-bet to 20, right? 20% of the stack. And in position, they've got pretty good odds to continue with the widest range, so you get a lot of value from kings there. And then just on a lot of flops, you're going to have a hand that's pretty close to the effective nuts for that stack depth, right? In 4-bet pot, the stack depth is lower, right? You can imagine if you 4-bet to like 20, there's going to be 40 blinds in the middle, 80 blinds behind. Stack pot ratio is 2. You're going to flop an overpair like 80% of the time. Sorry, an overpair or better, like 80% of the time. So you're pretty happy with your hand for kings. So basically always 4-bet kings. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to bluff the jack.
You could probably bet somewhere either on the flop or the turn. But I don't mind checking it down either. I mean, just have this hand as sort of like the bottom of your check down range seems okay. So here, this is one of those spots, once again, where you can probably 4-bet it pre. I mean, there's not quite as big a difference for these bluffing type hands, like you mean against the cutoff. King Queen suited makes for a pretty good 4-bet bluff pre-flop in the setup here, compared to like cutoff versus blind, versus button when they're in the cutoff. Like a king queen suited actually plays pretty nicely post flop, but here hijack versus cutoff, or like this, king queen suited can be pretty nice bluff. and instead you'd be calling ace king offsuit at a low frequency, and it would have a little bit more king x in the range. Here, if you open this, king queen suited once again, being used from the low jack as a 4-bet, so you can be 4-betting this hand in this spot. And I would recommend from the hijack to be 4-betting it at a pretty high frequency. Hijack and low jack to be 4-betting it at least 50% of the time. Yeah, what happened to the flop? Did it check through? No, it went check back call, did it? I mean, it's a bit. It's like it's pretty tight. I mean, like what ace-x do you have on the flop that will call? It's not a flush now, so yeah, you're just gonna be folding everything. Like what are you calling with on the river? Like only an ace. I don't really see it.
Yeah.
Probably even consider check raising the flop. Like low frequency because they got the backdoor flush draw. Anyway.
Well, I think that's the reason I continued with the backdoor. It's just when they make the 3-bet, they have the ace king where I have the king queen, right? They have the kings, they have the aces.
I mean, it's not necessarily the case because here you can be flatting ace king, ace king offsuit some of the time. So like here, if you open 2.5, ace king offsuit flats a little bit. If you open 2, ace king offsuit flats a little bit. So don't be afraid to flat ace king offsuit a little bit when you're out of position.
Okay.
So you do have a little ace king. And it kind of reflects the rest of your king x. Like here, if you can imagine the frequency, maybe it's like 1/10 of the time, but you've got 12 combos, so that's 1.2 combos, and the rest is like maybe another 2 or 3 combos. So like your ace king ends up being like a quarter of your king x. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty short. Which benefits calling, I guess. Yeah, no, I mean, if you're checking the turn, you should be checking to check jam. Basically never fold a flush draw. You need a really good reason to fold a flush draw. Like you need a really good reason to be folding flush draws. Like if you've got the only flush draw, like when you've got 2 in your hand and 2 on the board, you need a really good reason to fold that. And just
Right.
one bet is not a good enough reason, right? You should be folding it, you should be ripping it, or you should be betting it yourself. Yeah, just in general, like don't fold flush draws.
Yeah. Too passive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, call's good. Yeah, but betting here is not. This bet here is actually a mistake, I think. I'll show you a sim in a kind of similar spot. I mean, the preflop sizes are a bit different, but we'll have a look at the sim. Maybe this one.
I think here you need to let him to catch up. He's
Yeah. What is
he need to catch an ace or a king. I check this turn.
Yeah, I mean, usually in this kind of spot. Here we've got Jack 6-2. What do you got in the flop? My half pot? half pot, call. Let's give it a wet turnish. Let's get a wettish turn card like the 7 of spades or something, right? If it checks, that's the bet size. It's very small, right? Compared to what you did, it was fairly chunky, right?
Right.
Different turn card, maybe a little bit less wet. Check. Once again, a small bet. An undercard to the 6. Once again, a small bet. Right, I mean, if you got a jack, right, do you want to be betting this size?
You block everything with.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a jack, you probably don't want to be betting this size because you're afraid of getting check raised by queen plus. So, like, if you just want to bet small and try and get called by ace king, ace queen. So you should do the same thing when you've got jacks. What other turn cards can we look at? Yeah, 4 is good. Like 3 of diamonds. Bring in the straight. Check. Yeah, once again, small bet. Even like a 9. Check. Yeah, jack's a small bet. So lots of betting small with the trips there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think I had the right thought process on the flop, because I was blocking.
Flatting the flop
right.
is really nice. Like, you
But then
shouldn't have any raises at all.
And I can't think of any logical reason why I would bet large like that on the turn with that hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, flatting here is okay just because the raise size is pretty small. What was it, hijack? It's like 2.5 versus the pot sized, if I have it. Yeah. Yeah, got like ace king offsuit flatting half the time. So that's low jack. Yeah. Ace king offsuit flatting a good chunk of the time. Well, I mean, a little bit of the time. No, that's not right. That's a call. That's a squeeze. Fold, call. Here we go. Yeah, ace king offsuit flatting half the time. Open to min, fold, 100%, flatting half the time. So definitely okay to be flatting ace king offsuit half the time. In this spot, hijack versus the big blind.
And when we raise, we need to call the shove. It is king here.
Yeah, so hijack's going to be in the get-in range. So like here, for example, here you raise, and then like if they shove on you, you're always calling ace king. If they min, you're going to be shoving ace king yourself.
Okay.
So yeah, just got to remember that the get-in ranges for each of the positions. So in the hijack is basically going to be queens plus ace king. Here in the low jack it's going to be like jacks plus ace king. On the button it's going to be like even like 10s plus ace king, like 10 plus ace king, ace queen suited, maybe even 9s. And then the low jack is like kings plus ace king suited with ace king offsuit. And a little bit of queens. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, this bet size once again doesn't make any sense, right? If he's got a king, you should be betting it at a high frequency. And now if you've got a strong hand, right, especially a hand that can beat a king, right? Which like the king is really good for his checking range. Once he goes check on the flop, like he's got a lot of ace king, a lot of king queen, that kind of stuff. So the king is really good for him. So it's really good for him. You shouldn't be betting small in turn because he just continues to easily.
Right.
You should just be betting big, right? So this is one of those hands which I would like a pot size bet and then check back the river kind of thing, or even just check back the turn and then check the turn here and then potentially even raise the river bet depending on what the run out is. If the run out's not so good for you, then you can just call. So it's one of those hands. The other hand, if you've got like 2 pair, like king 10, 10-8 or whatever, that decided to check back the flop, here you should just be potting it into him, trying to get good value from a king with that part of his range, especially because it's 2 flush draws and a bunch of straight draws. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what happens now, right? You bet small.
Yeah.
The thing is that you just didn't get enough value on the turn. Like, this kind of line makes more sense if you've made a big bet on the turn, the flush draw comes in, you check back the river. But here with a small bet on the turn, your hand is actually like really strong still, despite the fact that the flush has come in. So you might have to be betting. You're definitely going to be betting it with the ace of spades. But you might even be having to be betting this one because your hand is too strong in this line.
Lots of miss value on that turn then, or checking.
Yeah, I mean you could check and then value bet river. Yeah, I mean calling is preflop. Checks her on the flop. Checks her on the turn. I mean the river is pretty good for him, but he still does have a lot of ace high and weaker pairs, so you can bet small with a 10 to block. I don't like just check folding
Right.
against bet this kind of size. Yeah. I mean, check folding probably isn't too bad either. I mean, you're definitely closer to indifferent. Maybe not, because like you should be blocking your 10, so he might even be able to value bet like ace 10 or whatever if he has any left. Pretty sure this is a 4-bet. I think I could be wrong. No, okay. Maybe I'm thinking about it is because the size is too small. Sorry, yeah. Whatever. Yeah, you float the flop. Yeah, you check raise on the turn. Yeah, okay. That seems alright. You're definitely a polar enough bet on the turn.
That's a mistake, right?
I'm not calling that.
Jack 9?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
The raise size is very small.
On the turn, you need to fold.
What about the turn? Yeah, probably not. You just can barrel in too. Yeah, I mean top pair is top pair. This board isn't very good for him.
Right.
So he need to call here. I call and I fold if the river came. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult to get behind. Folding a hand this strong in your range on the turn. I mean, once you get to the river and you jams, then you're indifferent, and then you can fold. But once you get you're on the turn, so not necessarily the case. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is one of those. Kind of like 4-bet or fold kind of spots. I mean, the raise size is like it's like a pot size raise you made. So happens when you pot it into like raise or fold with king jack, the min open, raise or fold. So against pot size raise from the hijack, you should just be playing raise or fold with king jack suited. Pretty much. Actually, no, there's a triple point here. So I mean, I guess the EV of calling is probably close to 0. Against a strong player. And then, like, you've got 2,000 hands against him, and his 3-bet range is 6%, so, like, definitely want to be folding this.
Right. Right.
Like, you can use these statistics if you have enough hands. Like, you've got a 2,000 hand sample against him, which is Definitely enough to be able to get an estimate on his 3-bet percentage, and if you see it's only 6, then yeah, you should definitely be able to fold against this player. In comparison, if you've got only 99 hands or whatever against these other guys, you can't really tell. But 2,000 hands is definitely enough for these statistics at the top. Yeah, I mean, definitely okay, but exploitatively, I guess we can look at the exploits because you have some statistics on your opponents. We've got 1,000 hands, you see his 3-bet range is 3%, and he beats 12%. I mean, I can get behind just set mining pre-flop because his range is so nutted, and you're going to stack him every time, but after you just fold to flop, you miss your set, you're drawing dead. Against this guy. In GTO land, yeah, calling is fine. I'm sure the way that you played it in GTO is fine.
The guy's 12-8.
The guy's 12-8-3. Like, don't play hands against this guy.
Yeah.
So versus this guy, we want to only to call for set mine and fold all the flop.
Yeah,
no?
yeah. Basically play no set, no bet against him because he's very tight. And the odds that he gave you pre-flop weren't so bad either. He gave you 33% in position. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. You could probably even check raise the river as like a bluff. Yeah, I mean, it seems a bit of a tight fold.
Yeah.
But maybe you're exploiting him. I mean, 500 hands isn't like a super high number.
Right.
Like, yeah, I mean, 500 hands might get you enough about his VPIP and his PFR, but it doesn't tell you quite as much about his 3-bet percentage. So, I mean, 1,000 hands, yeah, 2,000 hands, yeah, especially if those numbers are very low to start off with. But 500, I don't think is quite enough to be able to make huge deviations. In 3-bet pots, yeah, you kind of wants to be waiting for like 1,000 hands before you start using these to make big deviations to your game. Yeah, I mean, you check back, you're a bit small. Yeah, pretty well played, I think.
It's not easy to know when to give up with a pocket pair sometimes on certain runouts.
Yeah. To one big blind, you can probably call. Yeah, you can probably call. You don't have to go up that easily against a one big blind bet. Yeah, I mean, that seems fine. Yeah, I mean that seems fine. I don't understand the way that he played it a bit strange. Yeah, I think he just played it a bit strange. Like he blocks a lot of hands that you would bet, so yeah, he should just bet small himself.
Little loose.
Yeah, low jack versus hijack. Sorry, low jack versus cutoff. It's on the loose side. Especially for like raising high rake environment. I'm not sure how deep you are. If you're a bit deeper than normal, which I'm not sure what is the case here. Yeah, you're a bit deeper than normal, so maybe you can start to be folding. I mean, there's 10-9 suited there, being indifferent. It's bigger size that fold more, smaller size will call more, obviously. What's just the slightly bigger size? Probably will be folding a bit more. That's nice of him. Yeah, okay, just donates to the top of your range. Very, very generous people, these 16 players.
Well, premium hands in my pool are very, very much overplayed. Like they're almost transparent. You can almost tell when someone has aces or kings because they're just so overplayed, irregardless of the texture of the board. It's just like I got aces, I'm getting it all in.
Yeah. Seems okay, I think. I mean, it's the guys who overplay their aces are the same guys who always complain about them getting cracked. So
yeah.
I mean, this is a really big 3-bet. You can probably just 4-bet it. I'm playing a little bit closer to 4-bet or fold. That's kind of idea there. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. You've got the top of your range. Top of your range. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, 9's the top of your range, but like, it's still pretty high up.
Should I have floated that? Because that's a terrible board for his range.
Yeah, I mean,
except
you can consider just donking yourself.
Here we should have
rather than like floating. I mean, it's one of those spots where you can have a donking range, and the donking range is kind of those hands that you don't really want to float. So, like you can just donk those hands instead of the option of either floating it or check raising. Floating out position, you need a bit more showdown value. The weaker hands can go for a check raise, so maybe you can donk that hand or even check raise it. But check folding isn't too bad. I mean, the rest of your range has got a lot of equity to defend. I was getting really good odds. That's nice. Yeah, that's the way to play it. I mean, because you're continuing with like almost all of your preflop range, you don't have to call with any other pairs. Yeah, seems okay with our club. Yeah.
That could have been a raise. That could have been a check raise with the ace 10 there.
Well, you're in position, so I didn't really have to do that.
Okay.
And like the board is one of those boards where like it's just really good for the in position player. I mean, there's the in position player rather than the in position player's range. Like you can have a board texture that generally favors a player who's in position. It's usually ones with a lot more draws. The kind of very dry boards usually favour out of position because their pre-flop range doesn't really have to do too much.
I like this situation. I like this situation. Sorry.
On the river, he should bet on that river.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's a flush and a bunch of straight.
Yes, but
you can consider betting it.
Sorry.
Which because you've got a lot of ace, isn't it? I mean, you block a lot of ace, so like it's not a huge thing. Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's on the small side. Yeah, just get it in.
This is from MTTs, and I'm not good at this strategy.
It is one of those cash out things. Yeah, seems reasonable. I mean, you should probably just bet the river. I mean, you bet kind of small on the turn. Like, I'm not sure what your plan was with that small bet on the turn. Like what's the plan with this hand?
Well, see, this is why I kind of like picking one spot and filtering for it, because you see things that are not within what you usually do. So I'm obviously like either, not concentrating or just not having the right thought process at all. Like without recording these, I never see these kind of weird subconscious plays that I make and try and correct them.
Yeah. Something to work on. It just seems like a strange bet on the turn.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind as like a bluff trying to get like an 8 or a 10 to fold, but yeah, maybe go for a bigger size or something. I mean, the small size probably isn't too bad. Small size, and then after you make your hand on the river, like you've got to value bet it. Because the river's like a massive brick, right? He's got a lot of ace X and 10x. You just value bet against them. Like, if you got ace king, you should value bet. I'm sure if you had ace king, you would have value bet it. So like, why wouldn't 4-5 you value bet too?
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know much about this guy. Seems okay. Yeah, this is one of those spots where you just. This is one of those spots where I'd probably just rip it. To be honest, and with like my entire continuing range. Yeah, cold call of the 3-bet out of position. It's getting a bit weird. You can even consider just
Like a min raise? Like a min 4-bet?
Nah, just rip it with the queens. I think there's so much money in the middle.
Well, yeah, there's so much dead money already on the table.
Yeah, like before you called. I'll go through the hand again. Before you called, it was like 25 blinds in the middle. More. Just rip it. Try and pick that up.
Pre-rake.
29 blinds. 29 blinds in the middle. Just jam and pick that up. The other players are going to be forced to be calling with all their ace king and even jacks. So like forced to call with jacks to prevent your ace king from jamming. So just jamming queens here is good. It's like really good, rather than calling and playing in the multi-way 3-bet pot out of position, potentially against 3 opponents. Like when there's a lot of money in the middle, you should be thinking, I want to shove in order to pick it up.
And what trade should we have? I have queens plus ace king in that spot. I shove.
That's a 7-5. Yeah, I mean, queens plus ace king is a good start.
And if the button 3-bet enough, we can add jacks, no?
It's probably just a 4-bet pre-flop from low jack. Like you see it probably, like say for example you min open, pop from the button. Like it can be some calling, I guess, but there's a lot more 3-betting. Colour scheme's not good up. The blue is too close to the green. I've got to change that. Yeah. Cool pre-flop on a 50 blind stack. Seems okay, I think. Seems okay. I mean, there's going to be enough flops for you to just win the pot post flop, I think.
I think that I'm not paying good enough attention to stack sizes sometimes when I'm playing a few tables of Zoom.
Yeah, I mean
that should be like the first thing.
Try. How many tables of Zoom are you playing? Like if you're just playing one table of Zoom, then yeah, okay, but you've got full attention. You're playing 2 tables of Zoom, you start to break your attention, and you can even see me when I was doing the challenge, trying to talk and play 2 tables of Zoom is sometimes difficult. When I'm doing the bankroll challenge, that's at the micros. So, if you want to focus and play the game really well, you should just be playing one table and just focusing on it. Thinking deeply about all the spots that you play, and you'll probably end up a better player for it at the end. I mean, you've got to value bet the river here. This hand, the next hand. Three bets pre, you flat, that's reasonable. It's actually a good line. Bet small, you call, that's good. Checks, I mean, checking back the turn is fine. And then you just check back the river. Like you it's a slam dunk belly bet. He's just gonna have a lot of ace jack, ace 10, ace 9 kind of hands, ace 5, ace 3, that kind of crap. In checking range that will always call, and some queen x and king x that will call a good chunk of the time. And even weaker 2 pairs might even have 7-6 or king 6. So definitely a value bet hand.
Right.
Definitely found a hand to value bet. I'm not sure why. Maybe you weren't paying attention.
It's pretty nitty not to make a value bet on that river with 2 pair.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those flops where you can consider having donking range, not necessarily with this hand, or maybe with this hand. I mean, it's one of those 2 overcards with no other draws. So if you want to add some polarity into your range, you can probably donk it. But yeah, it's a pretty good board for your range compared to the opponent. So having some donks for a small size is probably nice to try and deny a bit of equity from like an Ace-King hand. I mean, Ace-King will probably always call, but unless they paid for it. Yeah, I mean, it probably seems okay. Like, I don't know how much 8x you've got from pre-flop. So with that in mind, whether you can fold King 10, I mean, top pair second kick, I don't know, maybe you can fold it in preference for like 10-9 and Jack 9. Sorry, Queen 10 and Jack 10, because those have the straight draws. So
yeah,
maybe you can fold this instead of those hands.
You know why I didn't raise here? Because I thought for sure we were splitting. I thought for sure that was going to be a chop plot. I did not expect them to call with the.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I thought I was saving with some rake, really.
Yeah, that's fine, I think. And like, it's not like you've got a hand that will. Maybe you do. I mean, do you have pocket 9s there?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Well, one of those spots like where like you can jam some ace x and also pocket 9s, and then your opponent is forced to call with all the ace x, and so you basically always stack them when you've got 9s. But there's only one combo of 9s, so you can't really do it that often with ace x and to balance it. And it might not even be necessary to balance it, because if you just jam pocket 9s, your opponent's always going to call with ace x anyway. So not necessarily they need to even be balanced there against opponents that don't know that that's what you're doing. Yeah, calling is okay. I mean, I don't mind a raise either. Calling is definitely fine. Yeah.
Oh,
that's a bit of a shame, right?
For him.
Yeah,
You told us to let him to bluff 3 streets, no? To take value on
well,
the river.
Yeah, it depends how what you're playing. They say. I mean, Corey raised the turn.
Yeah, they don't bluff enough
raising somewhere, especially like against someone that's going to check back ace king on that kind of run out. Like the run out is just dry as anything. You want to get. Yeah, I don't know if I would have ace king there to jam the river and then pay you.
This is the reason. Yeah, this is the reason, because I like to put pressure when I have the hand in.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a strong hand, you should
Check
probably
raise.
raise it somewhere. I mean,
Yeah,
you can put opponents
yeah.
that are a bit too passive. Raise it somewhere. The donk's good. Yeah, check's good. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I don't see how you can fold this. I mean, you got a bit of queens, a bit of jacks, so it's a bit stronger than that. Maybe you can fold. But like, what is he repping? He's repping ace high or aces or kings.
Aces, kings,
He's got queens. You're always
queen.
calling with your queens. Like, so then what hands in your range are indifferent? Like that kind of hand maybe against a strong player, but maybe you can go back and value bet tens because you only just donked and then check called the turn. Right, like,
Yeah.
it just seems like a very, it seems like you're very under rep there.
Four bet.
Yeah, it's the same thing before bet.
Yeah.
Ace king suit always four bets from every position, like all the time.
Yeah.
Like even very deep. And it's also pretty underwhelming the way that you played it on the river, I think, too. I mean, having the king x to try and block king x from him is not really important, I don't think. Should just value bet it. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, you're not expecting to get called a lot because it's a give up line. Like the bet check is mainly give ups. So whatever like 6x he has left that might want to try and defend will call you sometimes. Yeah, I mean, seems fine. I think just because this particular hand ends up blocking folds quite significantly, so it seems fine just to give it up. Like the reason why you were calling down was to draw in the first place. If you had like a different hand that was floating, like a straight draw or something, well, straight draw made it. So like, what else could float? I don't even know. You got to think about where your hand is in relation to the rest of your range. If you had a weaker flush draw, it's probably the main thing.
So with
then
queens,
those weaker flush draws will rip the river after you get checked. After they check into you, but here because you've got a minuscule amount of showdown value against your opponent's ace queen, and you end up blocking that ace queen that folds, it ends up being probably a fine at check back. Like did he half pot or something? So like we're gonna have a look at this kind of thing. I mean it's a bit different because there isn't a flush draw on the flop. But here then after you call and then the river is like a jack, and then he checks. I mean there all the flush draw ace queen checks back and all the rest of it bluffs. That's with a slightly different stack to pot ratio. Here stack to pot ratio is 3/4. Here it's less than a half. So slightly different. So I can definitely get behind checking back this ace queen, this particular combo of ace queen. The other ace queens might decide to bluff. This particular combo is fine as a check back.
Four bet.
Please don't tell me you called. Oh man.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what do you make it 9? So like 2.5. Yeah, like this is This is it here, 2.5 open. They pot it into you on the button. Right, king's there. To 4-bet, you win 10.5. To call, you win 8.3. So it's like a little over 2 big blind difference. That's 200 big blinds per 100 hands difference by calling.
Yeah, that's huge. I hope I bet.
You should check raise the flop with kings.
Yeah, check raise
to
the
get
flop
value
with the
from.
kings definitely, or even donk the flop because it's a really good board for your range compared to the opponent. Yeah, it's just super underbet there. I mean, clear calling ace king offsuit is probably okay against the small 3-bet. I don't know what happened. Did he just give up after you called the flop, or did you bet the flop? Bet, call, no, bet min raise. Yeah, I mean, it's probably just better to just call it, right? You got your here by raising, you kind of ruin your pair outs in terms of your draw. So it's nice to kind of conserve them by just calling. Because if like a king or an ace comes on the turn, you're pretty happy with yourself. Because if you've got like an ace 10, ace jack hand, which might have called this small 4-bet, small 3-bet preflop with the ace of diamonds, you can raise that instead. Then again, there's not a huge amount of ace of diamonds or king of diamonds X hands in your range because you're not going to have too many offsuit hands. The 3-bet size is pretty small. And another thing is that raising probably doesn't make too much sense. If you've got a flush yourself, you're probably just going to call and then hope the turn doesn't bring another diamond.
Right.
One of those things like when you've got like a flush, like a middling or weak flush, you just want the run out to not bring a flush or bear the board kind of thing before you put the rest of the money in. Like if you raise now and then he calls and the turn is a diamond, it's really bad for you if you've got like a weak flush.
Right.
And then conversely, if you've got the nut flush, you kind of want you kind of end up blocking a bit too much. Better to call if the diamond comes. You're still pretty happy with yourself, and your opponent's likely having improved their hand as well. So if he goes up even higher. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit on the weak side, but it's a bit on the weak side. Like, you got a lot of pocket pairs between the 9s and the 2s that can fold instead of the jacks. Like, usually you don't want to be folding the pocket pairs between the top and second pair on the A-side dry boards against a single bet. Even in 3-bet pots. Yeah, seems okay.
That should have been a razor fold, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those spots. I mean, you can have a calling range because the cold call is out of position to you, but that cold calling range is basically going to be like pocket pairs.
Yeah.
Whether you want this hand in it, I'm not too sure. The pocket pairs can just flop sets, and the rest of the range is going to be playing basically raise or fold. This particular hand might not be strong enough. Because the set hands are having like 4-1 on a call. So 3-1 on a call, 25% on a call. 25% to flop a set multi-way is not too bad.
pretty good bluffy range. He's bet pretty small into it. Doesn't make too much sense. And now he's realised that he shouldn't have bet the flop and now he's checking the turn. Yeah, I mean, maybe you just jam the river.
Like your flush blocker, straight blocker, everything blocker. Nah, just jam the river. Gotta have some jams.
Yeah.
Because consider forwarding that pre, I think. Yeah, I mean, remember the queen jack suited. You can consider, like, when you open the button, you can consider just ripping queen jack suited pre-flop against most 3-bet sizes from all of the players. Like, if there's enough money in the middle, you can just rip it pre-flop. 18.75 blinds is not a huge amount, and you're a bit deeper than normal, so I understand the call. But just remember that queen jack suited is one of those hands that can just rip pre-flop, and king jack suited in blind versus blind as well.
Yes, but small blind need to 3-bet 14%, no? Versus button. To be profitable, show. Queen jack suited.
Yeah, 13, 14%, whatever it is.
If you don't 3-bet enough, if you 3-bet 9%, you don't do this, no?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how often they call and how often they fold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that seems okay. Yeah, floating looks okay. I mean, it's not an ideal float just because you don't have any. You got a few backdoors associated with the 10 and the diamond, so I guess floating is okay. It's one of those spots where you want to make playing closer to full bet or fold because they're squeezing over your in position caller. So with the in position caller, you don't really have to defend by calling as much. So basically playing much closer to full bet or fold. So I get behind just a fold here. Yeah, I mean, don't just call. Don't just call. Everything was fine up until I call on the river. A call probably cost you it could have cost you 10 big blinds, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's an enormous mistake, and if you don't realise it. Yeah, it seems reasonable. Like I said, so Alright. I'm probably not going to get through the rest of this. We'll
Yeah,
figure this
no,
out.
that's fine.
Like just
For a
because
pool,
these hands and these kinds of this kind of hand review ends up being very, very dense.
Yeah.
Because like if you just send me a session review, there's a lot of hands that are just folding. So there's plenty of fluff in between that we can talk about it. But this, like, we generally just talking about every single hand. And every single spot in depth. So, if any of you guys want to send me something like this, like, I'll take it. Maybe just make it almost 45 minutes, because 45 minutes, went for like an hour and a half. So ends up taking about twice as long to analyze it as it is to just play it on the screen. So yeah, I mean, if you make it like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, that'd be good for a tour like this. Any questions so far? You can look at any spot you want. You can look at 4-bet spots or whatever. Just pick a filter and then do the same thing that Martin's done here. Any questions?
I do think it's a good idea to pick, like, a specific spot and then just let it run, because I find that when I'm doing reviews, there's stuff where I'm going like, what was I thinking here? Was I not paying attention, or what was my thought process? And if I can't come up with one, that means I've got a leak somewhere that even if it's mental, that needs to be worked on. But it's a good way of identifying some areas.
Yeah, exactly. So if anyone else wants to do a session review tutorial when they're just doing like this, where you're just basically going through the database, I guess you can call this a hand review tutorial. Just send it to me.
Thomas, I can't thank you enough. Very much appreciate taking the time to go through these hands with me. Thank you.
No worries. All right, let's go. So you can sign up on the Patreon. So if you got 3 of a kind or higher, I will read out your name at the end of the video. So who we got? So thank you so much to Jordan Cruz, who is the main supporter, and the other supporters who are going for the 2 pair. I'll put your name in the description of the video. And for everyone else, thanks for showing up and enjoying this tutorial. And if you've got any, if you want to send me a video like this, you can, and we might be able to go through it at some stage.
Thank you very much again, Thomas.
See you guys.
Thank you. Yeah.